Have you wondered what tech advancements were announced this week or how the latest news will impact your wallet? Well, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie's son, longtime financial pro, Forbes contributor, CNBC council member, and I'm excited to have you here with me. Happy Thursday, of course, also to my trusty tech guru and co-host, the one and only Greg Nibbler. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Winnie. Yeah, and hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us here for The Loop. Appreciate it. Everybody always tuning in. It's always so much fun. And, this is an interactive show. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're chatting, drop in your comments, your questions. We're here with you. This is live. So everything you see is happening live right now, unless you're watching on replay. That's great, too. And so in case you don't know, I'm Greg Nibbler. I've been a tech reporter for a long time, covering all kinds of aspects of technology and some other fields as well. And today, I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview of some cool things happening next week and something that you might be able to buy here pretty soon. A lot coming up on that. And Winnie, as always, gives us all the financial news and makes it understandable, which is great for people like me who aren't very good about understanding financial news. That's why Winnie's so amazing to have explained that to us. But before we get into Winnie's segment here, I did want to bring up the fact that I know, Winnie, you went on a bit of a trip here recently, and I saw one picture and it looked amazing. And I figured, maybe you'd show and tell a couple of pictures.
Greg, you know what? I love you. I don't know how you found out, but yes, this is true.
Social media.
Social media is one of those things. I wasn't actually planning to go on any trip, but what happened was, this is a true story. On Saturday, we had just eaten lunch, and I jumped on a computer and I found an incredible deal at one of my favorite hotel chains, which is Hyatt. And I turned to my husband, I turned to the kids, I'm like, you guys want to go on a trip? Want to go on a road trip? And then my husband says, how far? And I said, 7.5 hours. And sure enough, we packed in an hour. We all got into the car and we drove to Sedona, Arizona. And we got there like a little after midnight, Greg, and it was so much fun. Actually, yeah, I will show you. I actually I bought some photos so you could check this out, because if you haven't, Greg, I know you love camping, but I love my hotels. and I know you love hotels too, but this is so great. I had never been to Sedona. It was absolutely beautiful. And it's only an hour and a half from the Grand Canyon. So we went to the Grand Canyon. The kids had never seen it before. The weather was 75 degrees. I gotta tell you, so this is actually, I took this video, Greg. Are you proud?
Yes, I am. It
Yes.
was amazing.
You gotta go. Have you been to the Grand Canyon?
I have. One time I've been to the Grand Canyon, and it was on a long road trip that I was doing to Louisiana. So it was like a quick stop, but that's the only time I've actually been there. And I've been to Sedona once, and it was very, very cool. But it's definitely an area I need to go back to.
Yeah, I felt the same way. So I had booked through Hyatt, booked on my points, right? But for 2 nights, this hotel that I booked, the Residence Club in Sedona, Greg. Okay, I know, you can take a lot more. But I love this experience. What they had, okay, I got upgraded thanks to Steve, the manager there. By the way, Steve, love you. You're so nice. He upgraded to us 1-bedroom suite. We had a jacuzzi tub in the room, right? We had washer and dryer. For those of you parents, what priority that is. We're streaming on Modern Mom too, so you know how important the washer dryer is. Full kitchen, all right? And then literally the supermarket, they were literally 5 minutes away. So we got food from the supermarket. Literally, for 2 nights, we probably spent no more than $60 on food for the entire. I had to cook, but I made some legendary meals. I'm gonna just tell you, it was really good. And for such an impromptu trip, we packed in an hour. And fortunately, I've remembered I would say 95% of everything. So it was good. It was good. But it was a long drive, but I would totally do it again. So those of you who are looking to recharge, and I know, Greg, you got something special coming up soon. I'm still dreaming about the mountains.
Yes, yeah, I don't blame you. That sounds incredible. I like any kind of trip that I can do, but an impromptu one, those are always so much fun, because it's like, okay, fine, we're going. Let's just see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Oh, actually, you know what? I forgot to mention this thing you're gonna love, Greg. I was like, Greg would get a kick out of this. That one picture I showed you with the river runs through it, that actually, I think it was called, this is in Sedona. I think it was called like River Slide Park or something. It was really cool. So basically the rock formations naturally create this like area where it's almost like a water slide. So you actually go onto the hill. There's like more rocks, and then people were actually just getting in the water and sliding down the mountain. It was incredible.
That is 100% up my alley.
Yeah, you gotta try it, and then you gotta have to film it so we can all see, right? Yeah. Hello. I mean, I know they're really good at kicking. I see Sadiq joining us from YouTube. Like, hello, Sadiq. Thank you so much, our friend, for being here. Kurt Benning, welcome to the show. CrossX Fighter, Joshua, happy Thursday. We always appreciate you. We see Robin Siemens on YouTube Live, and everybody else. Wow, so many of you today. It's such a fun day. But let me know if you've been to the Grand Canyon, because I know I was there as a kid, but honestly, I didn't really remember it. But this time was perfect. 75 degrees, not crowded. And let me just say, Hyatt Residence Club, Greg. Yeah, I mean, you could actually camp inside that's how big that room was.
That's amazing. Yeah, I cannot wait to do that trip. And you know what? You actually just inspired me. I did something over the last weekend too. Maybe at the end of the show, I'll show some pictures of what I did. It's not as the same. It's not as the same as going to Sedona, the Grand Canyon, but I do have some pictures I'll show.
We want to see that, Greg. So that's fun. I love it. All right. So let's get to the financial markets. Let you know how it closed, because it's a really happy, bright day today. And sure enough, the market closed on a triple update. Thanks to my creative director, Curtis, for updating these numbers for me. The Dow closed up 534 whopping points. NASDAQ closed up 251 points. We'll take it. And the S&P up 74 points as well. And so, a lot of things happening in the financial markets. But one thing, Greg, I wanted to share with you, because, I know you like to get geek tech, but I like to geek financial. And I thought this was a good combination of both of our worlds, because today Microsoft announced that it's shutting down its local version of LinkedIn in China, because the country is expanding its censorship of the internet. And I know, Greg, you know this, but I actually found it fascinating, because I didn't know that LinkedIn was the last major US social media network that was still operating there. And in fact, Twitter, Facebook have been blocked for over a decade, and even Google decided to close its operations there in 2010. Did you know that?
That since 2010?
Since 2010. They haven't had Google for the last 10 plus years. That's
wow.
Yeah. So incredible. But yeah, they are sharing they're going to be launching this new platform called InJobs in China. And this will be a standalone jobs application so that Chinese businesses can continue to help create economic opportunity. But they said that this new platform will not include a social media feed component or the ability for people to share posts and articles. So yeah, crazy times. I thought, Vicky is shocked right now. So Vicky's never been to the U.S. Nikki, you'll have to come check out. The U.S. is pretty fun. And I know where Greg's at in Oregon is beautiful. I actually need to go out there and check things out. And I heard that near Greg, there's like, I think they said that, anyways, I just heard there's some really, really amazing things that you got to see in Oregon. But here in Southern California, obviously, we are only 3.5, 4 hours from Las Vegas. You got Hollywood. You got where I'm at near Newport Beach. You got the amazing beaches. So it's not bad. Yeah, it's close to everything. We got lots of airports. And by the way, we got great food. So those are some. So Vicky, when you come, we definitely want you to check it out. And Joseph, thank you so much for joining us on YouTube Live too. So here's what I want to do, Greg. I'm going to take a moment, because this has been trending news. And this topic of the backdoor Roth IRA. And so I've been having a lot of people ask me what this is. I've been contributing to a lot of financial publications on this exact topic. So I thought I would explain it to all of you, because you're going to hear more about this. But more importantly, if this isn't on your radar, it should be, because this can potentially make a big difference in your retirement planning. Because we do know numbers have shown, believe it or not, because of the pandemic, a greater amount of Americans now are reconsidering their retirement date. A lot of people are thinking they're going to retire later because they have to, but others are saying, you know what, I'm just pooped out. I'm going to retire sooner. And how are you going to make things work? Well, this concept of the backdoor Roth IRA, or something I've actually called the Roth IRA conversion, I've been talking about this strategy for years at different events. It's something that should be on your radar, because if you're not eligible to contribute directly into a Roth IRA because your income exceeds the allowed threshold, then you seriously want to think about saving for your long-term goal of retirement. And so how it works is, if you're single and you earn in excess, so over 100, about 100 to 125,000 a year, or if you're married and the two of you own in excess of 200, or you shouldn't say own, the two of you earn in excess of 200,000 a year, which we know in many cities and communities is actually, a lot of people earn this level in places like Silicon Valley. I know where you are, Greg, New York, here in LA, definitely, income can come at that higher level. Then typically you wouldn't be able to contribute to a Roth IRA directly. However, that being said, there's been this system that you're able to actually contribute to a traditional IRA and then do the conversion, and then you're able to do a backdoor Roth IRA. And then those monies once they go into the Roth IRA, if you hold that money all the way until age 59 and a half and beyond, then 100% of those proceeds are then tax-free, so not subject to federal, state, or local taxes. So it's really important to think about and know that this is actually the case, because this type of conversion may not be around much longer. Congress is considering making changes or completely doing away with this retirement savings strategy. So you may be considering learning, you may consider learning more about it and seeing if this is something you want to take advantage of before it does go away. So here are the things you want to know about it, okay? If you're in this category, you're at this level, or maybe, in the future you'll be at this level, what do we need to know? Well, the Roth IRA conversion or backdoor Roth IRA isn't something special. It's not a magical account. It's actually the act of converting funds from one retirement account to another. So that goes from traditional or 401k over to the Roth IRA. Now, it's also a legal way to contribute to a Roth IRA if you exceed the income limits that normally restrict high earners from contributing directly to Roth IRAs, and you're not avoiding the payment of taxes. So in fact, you could actually pay more in taxes on the year that you do the conversion, but what it does is basically you're paying your taxes up front, and then if you hold this account long term, it grows to be tax-free. So give you an example. Let's take Greg, for example, right? I'm going to just use him. Greg, how old are you right now?
Me, I'm 44.
Okay, so still really young, right? So let's say, for example, Greg was to contribute $6,000 into his IRA this year. Well, that being said, Greg can handle taxes on $6,000. So he would just contribute after tax dollars that have already been taxed into his IRA. And then if he lets it grow, and let's say it's in the Roth IRA, when Greg reaches 59 and a half or beyond for retirement, that will then be 100% tax-free. That'll all be his money because he's already paid the taxes up front. Yeah. Versus a traditional or 401k, you would get a deduction or potentially a deduction up front, and then you would have to pay taxes on the back end. But being that you're young, you're focused on retirement, if you invest this properly and carefully, that is probably going to be a lot bigger than $6,000 in the future. So it's nice to pay taxes on the small amount. So that's sort of the thing. And that's why you're hearing a lot about it in the news, because there's a lot of people who have utilized this strategy by putting less expensive investments, or, investing in this aggressively every year and doing this strategy so that in the future, then they wouldn't have to pay as many taxes. And that's why Congress wants to shut it down. But something to keep on your radar if you're in that category, or you have loved ones or family members, this is something that they should be paying attention to. If you're going to do this strategy or consider this strategy, I highly recommend working with a very experienced and licensed advisors on this strategy, or tax professional. You don't want to mess around with this, but it's a really, really, really great technique, and something that we've known about for quite some time. So that's something, Greg, I just want to share with everybody. But, I know that you've also been doing a lot of research this week too.
Yeah, I have been. Well, I mean, that is just such great information, Winnie. That's wonderful to know about that, because that's certainly something I was not educated about. I'm going to be looking into that a lot more myself. So thank you for explaining that and making it understandable. once again. Like I said, just making it understandable.
Anytime, I try.
Right. Well, the things I wanted to talk about today. So for technology, you know, as you know, if you've been watching the show, there's been a lot of events over the last few weeks with different companies putting out hardware and putting out different things. And this week, there's one event I'll talk about later on today, but that really next week is just like this showcase of companies. You have Apple, Google, and Samsung, you know, three of the biggest heavy hitters, all having events back to back to back. So 3 days in a row, we're going to be getting it. So I
what
thought
kind of events?
That's what I wanted to walk through too and talk about, because it's all going to be hardware focused events, and we know some of what to expect and some of the speculation. So I'll kind of give you just basically a beginner's course on what to expect next week and what we think could be happening. We'll start off with Apple. So their event is taking place on October 18th. It's just, there's so much next week. I'm like, keep track. Okay, that's Monday.
Whoa,
Monday,
look at that.
October 18th. So this is an Apple hardware event, and you're probably like, they just had a hardware event. They just released their phones. They did. But this one is going to be a little bit different, because we think we're going to be getting new MacBook Pros and possibly a complete redesign of the MacBook Pros that we've been used to. So anybody who's a MacBook fan or anybody who uses MacBook Pros,
we're using one right now to stream right here.
Exactly. And I'm actually in the market for one. I need one for streaming. So I'm in the market for one, but I've been waiting for this event specifically to see what gets released. There's a couple of reasons for that. The new technology could be really cool. Also, that could drop the price a little bit on the previous version. So it's something that if you're right now getting ready to hit buy on a MacBook Pro, I would recommend just wait till Monday, see what happens, or just, you know, hit buy, whatever it is that makes you happy. But things that we expect with it. So probably a new 14-inch and a new 16-inch. It's going to most likely have the M1X chip, which is the newest chip that they've got. So we know about the M chips. This is Apple's M chip, their line of chips. The M1X chip would be the next level up. So what's that going to be able to do for us? We'll find out more, but presumably more computing power, maybe up to 32 gigs of RAM, which is a lot of RAM in a laptop.
Whoa. We're going to need that for video production for sure, Greg.
Definitely. You know, and the more that we're using 4K video for everything, you need a lot of power to handle that. So that's probably what we're going to be looking at. So you've got that. There's also most likely it's going to be the return of the MagSafe power. So if everybody remembers the MagSafe, if you've ever been in Apple, that's probably coming back.
What is that, Greg? I don't know what that is.
MagSafe is the one where it's basically the little magnet for charging your laptop, where it's got that thing that just clips on.
Okay.
Older MacBooks have that. Sounds like that could be coming back. It's pretty handy.
Oh, yeah, that was really handy, because then you don't damage your USB slot, right?
Yep, exactly. Like you don't damage any. If you knock it off or you step into your cable, it just falls off. Like you don't actually damage any. I'm a fan of that. Most of the time, I prefer things that are, you know, kind of more universal. But that's I think is a good thing to come back. And I'm curious what people think about that as well, if that does come back. A couple other things, along those lines, it'll probably better display. And I'm taking a look, you know, just at the rumors of what we think. These aren't guaranteed, but most likely. The other thing from Apple that we'll probably get that was kind of expected the last event and didn't happen are some new AirPods. So this would be presumably the AirPods 3 if they stick with the same, you know, nomenclature for them. And the AirPods 3 are probably going to have a little bit shorter of the the golf tee stick that we're all familiar with, more like the AirPods Pro. So you'd have that, probably better noise cancellation, some upgrades, most likely along the lines of the spatial audio that they've been showcasing, because that was a big feature. So if you have the new ones, it'll probably bring in more spatial audio, which will be pretty cool to see what they can do with that. And then maybe some surprises. You know, we don't know exactly what all the bells and whistles will be for each one, but that's kind of a general rundown of what to expect from Apple. I think we're safe to say MacBook Pros, a new version of those, and new AirPods for sure. So I think that's where we're probably going to go.
Very cool, Greg. Well, it's really cool to see that new chip and see, because I know there's been people are very excited about it, but I also know it's polarizing. Also, some people still prefer the Intel chip, but I don't know.
Yep.
We got to embrace the new.
The chip battles are pretty big because a lot of these companies, you know, Apple and Google, actually, I'll talk about Google next. You know, they're making their own chips. They want to control that line of making these chips themselves. So far, the M1 chip has gotten really good reviews. I mean, it's a pretty nice. So we'll see what the evolution is. Can they improve on it? Can they Can they make it even better, compared to Intel or AMD or anybody else? We'll have to see, but it'll be a big day on Monday. So you got that Monday with the Apple event. Then
Vicky is thinking about. She thinks you're going to be very busy, Greg. She's thinking about you.
So busy, and all of these things are generally pretty early in the morning for West Coast time. So I don't even remember which day it is. It's all on my calendar, but it's each morning I will be up talking about this stuff and tweeting about it and watching it. So it's going to be a busy week for sure. So that's just Monday. Then we go on to Tuesday. So you got the Apple side going over to the Google side. And this is an event we have been expecting for a while. And this is the new Google Pixel 6 phone reveal. Google's a little less secretive than a lot of the other companies. We already know what it's going to look like. We already know, some of the aspects of it, because they're just like, yeah, here you go. This is it. Apple keeps everything under wraps. Samsung tries. A lot of times it gets leaked. Google's just like, yeah, they're okay. Yeah, we're going to have an event. This is what we're going to do. I still think there's going to be some surprises. So the Google Pixel 6, this is the sixth version of their phone, which consistently gets better and better each time. And it's, again, I keep saying most likely or probably. That's because I don't want to 100% say this, but it's going to happen. We'll get a Pixel 6 phone and a Pixel 6 XL, or some kind of a bigger version if they change up the naming on them. So you get two new phones. They have the ones with the band of cameras in the back. And that's something I know not everybody's a fan of. I think even when you and I talked about that, when they showed the picture, you weren't a fan necessarily.
Not a fan.
Of the band. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I say, hashtag drop the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Get it trending. So things with that. So with the two different phones, taking a look at what some of the rumors are. The bigger one, the XL, will probably have a telephoto lens on it. So it'll probably have three to four cameras. Three, I believe, on the back. So you'll have a little bit more options with that one. Now, talking about the chips, this is the other thing. So Google is going to be using their own Tensor chips.
Ooh.
So this is their line. Qualcomm has already been posting about it, kind of ripping on Google about leaving their Snapdragon chips. So there's funny, at least to me, Qualcomm's Twitter posts about this. So we'll have to see how Google can hold up with it. And they'll have the new chips, but what that means is Google can really tailor that specifically to their software. And that's where a lot of what these Pixel phones are really amazing at, is processing photos. Nighttime photos have always been really good, or at least as of late, on Pixel phones. So I want to see what they bring with that. Like, you're bringing out your own chip. What are you going to do with it? Like,
yeah, you can't blame anybody else. It's your chip now. You can't say like it was AMD's fault or Intel's fault. Yeah, now it's gonna be your fault.
Yeah, it's like so. What are you going to do? Show us what you can do with this thing.
Show us what you can do. Absolutely great. That's exciting. That'll be interesting to see. It's so interesting too, because we've heard through the pandemic all these supply chain issues, right? And one of the big things was like we saw Ford Motor Company closed down for quite some time because they couldn't get those chips that they needed for their vehicles. And so companies are now, like you're talking about, Google and Apple, saying like, we want to control our supply chain. We want to control our product, which I wonder, Greg, if it's going to be harder for people to leak what's going into those phones now. Who knows?
maybe they have a little more control over it. Yeah, I guess that's a possibility too. The supply chain issues are definitely. There was just a whole thing this week about whether or not Apple was going to be able to put out enough iPhone 13s. They said they are going to be able to. I mean, I think that's going to be an issue for a while, supply chain concern.
I think so. And I think that, there's a backlog. I was trying to help my mom order she wanted the new 13, and it was going to take until, this is like a couple weeks ago, I tried to order it for her. It was going to take until November to get here. So it wasn't like, so I think there's definitely a delay.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows if Google, already has a stockpile of their phones, or how that's all going to work. I mean, look at PlayStation 5. For everybody out there who's been trying to get a PlayStation 5, that's a perfect example of supply chain issues. That's I know. I believe
Sony just put out
something today where you could enter a raffle to try to. No, I don't. Like they're so hard to get a hold of. I've just decided. Plus, I don't have a lot of time to play games anyway, so I'm like, as much as I want it, if I did that, I know I wouldn't work. I would get sucked into the PlayStation 5 for. There's a lot of games out there I want to play, so I'm going to pace myself. But eventually, I'll be getting one. I'm noticing in our just internally, Curtis, who's producing, he has a PS5, so
What?
he's one of the ones that has.
You got one, Chris? What? We're gonna have to borrow that for footage to show everybody, right?
Yeah, right.
I heard those are really cool.
Anyway, yeah. So the new Google phones, maybe a foldable phone. Another rumor coming out. So it should be pretty exciting. The other thing is Android 12. Now that's going to start rolling out for everybody who has an Android phone. It may not happen right away. This may be a slow rollout to get the update, but Android 12 is on its way, so they'll have some new features for your phones as well. Pixel phones usually get it first and usually get the best features, but everybody else they'll get it too. So cool event there.
So you're gonna get one? But Greg, you gonna get one? That's the question of the day, though.
I want to see. I'm really curious about the chip because I want to see what they're going to showcase that's so special about their chip that they're like, what's different? What do you have that's going to be different than from the Qualcomm Snapdragon chip, which is a good chip and it's kind of been one of the standards for these high-end phones. Like you're doing your own.
They better be faster, cooler. And run faster and run cooler, right?
Yeah.
And what else? I don't know.
Yeah, all of that stuff. Because I know chips aren't the most exciting thing to talk about if you're just talking about a phone. I mean, it's kind of boring, but ultimately it's all the features that thing can do. So you just have to look at, well, okay, cool. There's a chip. What does it do for me? That's what I want to know. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And those of you who are joining us, I'm curious to see how many of you are looking forward to seeing that phone that Greg just showed us from Google. Is this something that's on your radar? And more importantly, what color would you get? So do definitely put in comments. Let us know. Number one, would you get it? And number two, if you were to get it, what color would you get? Because I'm curious. I'm curious what Vicky would get. And,
there are new colors for the. And you know what? I didn't grab what the new colors of phones are, but I know they've got some new specific
like rainbow
colors. Yeah, that'll go along with it too. There's usually some pretty cool ones in there. I'm more of generally a matte black. That's I tend toward the matte black side of things, mainly because then when I scratch it, you probably can't see it as well. That's
well, there's
more a practicality issue than anything else. Plus, I need to put a case on it. So,
we see the direction you're going, Greg. That makes sense.
I think everybody does. All right, so those are two events. And I'll recap what's announced all this stuff next week. And I'll give like a brief recap of what the coolest things are. The third event is a little bit more of a mystery, and that's Samsung's next event. So they also already released their new phones. This is the Galaxy Unpacked 2 event that they have on Wednesday. So it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 straight days of events. And this one is a little bit more interesting because I don't know what they're going to reveal. They kind of, I thought it showed everything at the last event. You had new phones, new watches, new everything. I think new earbuds, everything was kind of new right there. So what do they have for this one? Could be more of their other lines of hardware. Could be more of like their kitchen, showing off kitchens. The theme, they said, is opening up new experiences for self-expression through technology. So what's that mean? I don't really know. I can't tell you. That's a maybe some more, maybe a surprise piece of hardware. Could be more software developments. Could be more partnerships with gaming. Could be something along those lines. It's as of right now a bit more of a mystery to me. So that's also kind of cool. It's like, what's Samsung going to show us?
I'm really curious about what because Samsung usually delivers like with something really really cool and cool looking too. Yeah,
they do. I mean, they're a massive company. It's easy to just like think, oh, they make smartwatches and phones, and that's what they do. They make everything. I was just reading, apparently in South Korea, you can even get Samsung. They do insurance, so they cover a wide gamut of things.
They do.
Yeah. So maybe they're incorporating more of their other products, smart home products. Maybe that would be cool. Either way, I'm excited for it. I just don't have much to tell you about it.
Well, we'll hear. I'm sure you're going to tell us more next week, so that'll be great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll try to keep it brief on each one, but I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff next week. So those are 3 events that are happening just right there.
Very cool. And Greg and I have now been trying our new platform, which so you can also catch us on Amazon Live now, as well as, whichever streaming platform you're joining us on now. And one of the things we've had a lot of people reach out to us in comments of, Greg, actually, a lot of people are curious about what microphone we're using. So this week, I just decided to keep it super simple. We put down some of the items that we use to do this show. So if you're curious, you can see those are the items. And yeah, we do love this microphone, right, Greg? That's something that we didn't buy the matching on purpose, but it kind of worked out that way.
I even have my box right here. Oops, I got it backwards. This is the Shure SM7B. So this is the one that I ended up going with that, Winnie, you already had. They're really great mics for broadcasting. I'm trying to do this every time I'm staring at myself and my product placement. The Shure SM7B. It's one of the most like this a solid broadcast microphone. These RE20s are also great, but this Shure SM7B is the one I went with. It really covers everything that you got. As long as you take care of this thing, it's been a standard in broadcasting for a long time, even back to when I was in radio. Like I said, this RE20s, those are what everybody has. And even if you look at a lot of broadcasts, they'll be using this kind of microphone or some iteration of it. So I love it. I just love the way that it captures the sound and how you can do voiceovers with it. You can use it for all kinds of different things. So if you're looking for whatever it is that you're doing, if you want to go with a nice mic, I've loved it.
Yeah, this is one I know. Thank you so much for asking. A lot of people have asked us about the microphones, and I will say, Greg and I had this discussion actually when we first started to collaborate on this show, because I used to have my own business radio show at TuneIn Radio, and I would drive with my producer to Venice, and we would film and whatnot. And they had these, and I remember even back then, everybody was using these, and Greg and I both talked about this too, is when you invest in a production, when you're filming it, whatnot, what you don't want to do is always have to change to new stuff, because what happens is it gets very expensive, right? If you're always changing your microphone, you're going to have to change your camera. That's a given. Every few years, probably. I don't know, Greg, what you think, but I think for us, we've had to change cameras maybe every 3 to 4 years, kind of like on the same scale as your laptop, but try to buy good quality. I think this microphone is going to last us a really long time. I don't think, like, I was using this at the radio show over a decade ago, and it was at that time, it was the best. And I still think, although, it is kind of obtrusive, it's kind of big, that's what something, Greg, I wasn't sure if I was going to do that, because I was thinking I wanted to have a lav mic, so it wasn't in the way, but the audio quality just wasn't as good. So I talked to my team, and so I was like, might as well get the best, because it'll probably last us forever.
Yeah. And it will, it's one of those things, if you take care of it, it'll last a long, long time. And, I just got this actually pretty recently, because I was debating on what to upgrade my mic to. It was a whole conundrum for me because of that. What do I want? And I tried out a whole bunch of different mics, and I had a friend actually that loaned me a bunch, and I ended up going with this just because it's such a standardized one, and I know it's going to last. And if you're going to invest money, that for me, I'm very careful about what I invest in, as I'm sure you are too, Winnie, and I'm sure a lot of people are. But it's like, if you're going to put that money into it, I'm like, it better be one that's good and it's going to last. And this is what I went with. So I'm glad to share that and talk about that. If anybody ever has questions about that stuff, please let me know.
If you have questions on what we use, let us know. But we did include it. I included, I'm filming right now off the Sony Alpha A9, and that's in there. And a lot of people ask me what I connect this thing to, and I connect it to my Rode Procaster, which you can't really see. It's kind of out of camera right now, but it is huge, and it's right here. So it does take a good investment to put everything together, but the quality is different. So that's the one I got.
Yeah. I mean,
it has cool sound effects too.
Nice. There's different ways too. You can make broadcasts work. And part of my other company, 2Box Media, that's what we do, we actually create live streams for people. So if anybody ever wants any help with that, feel free to email me. Company live streams, all that stuff. Yeah, it's always fun learning more about it, and it does evolve. Like, the industry evolves so much, as we've all seen, just even with Zoom, over the last year and a half, since everybody's been remote. just seeing the evolution of live streams and evolution of equipment and what you can do with it. It's a fun world to be in.
Yeah,
Just
it
to
is
see
fun.
how it's all done. Yeah.
Well, especially for someone like yourself who, this is your world, this is your moment. And like, I know you've had to travel all over still, Greg, to help different companies live stream, right? With Two Box Media, which is exciting to hear because I think today's entrepreneur and business owner, and actually I was just talking to somebody on Twitter before I jumped on here, and they said, I get confused if, if you're a financial advisor or you're a marketer or I think they said marketer or brand strategist. And I said, I think today's entrepreneur has to be all those things. I mean, not the financial advisor one, but you need to be a brand strategist. You need to be a marketer. And if you aren't, you got to ask yourself why. So this investments, all the things that you and I talk about, I know I'm constantly learning from you, Greg, on, those developments. They're exciting times. And I think that's what's the magic of the show. That's why we could do what we're doing. And we haven't even met in person. That's what's crazy.
I know. People don't even know that. We've only met virtually. And it's been years.
But it has been. Yeah. And from day one, I was silly COVID thing. I was like, and I told everyone, Greg is so nice. Greg's so nice. And so this kind of came. So at some point we will meet in person. Maybe it'll be at one of those big conferences,
I love that. Really fun. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, because I definitely have been traveling to some of those, and and that's to help other companies do live streams because most people haven't been doing it as long as as long as I have in my team or as long as you have been doing it. And so it's always fun to help other people out and to make it work for them and show like, here's how you can do it. Here's how you can get it done, and we can make that happen for you. And so it's always great. Which actually I'm going to be doing that in a couple of weeks. But yeah. So anytime anybody has questions about this stuff, love it.
Yeah, we will definitely ask you. I mean, and let me ask you this, Greg, though. You mentioned earlier in the show, though, that you had pictures to show us, too. You're going to show some pictures because we'd like to see some pictures.
Yes, I didn't even think about this until I saw yours, and then you're showing your pictures, and I'm like, wait a minute. Actually, I did something kind of cool over this last weekend. So it was my friend's birthday, and a couple of other friends rented out something new here in Portland, Oregon. That's where I'm at. It's called a yacht tub. And it's
a yacht tub. What is that?
It's a 6-person hot tub with a basically built into a little boat, electric boat. And the Willamette River runs through downtown Portland. So it runs pretty slow right there, but it's a very big river. And you go down to the docks, you rent this thing for a couple of hours, and you take it out and you just tool around downtown Portland in a hot tub.
That's so fancy.
That's what you're in. It's this crazy. Apparently they had them in Seattle for a while, and now they're here in Portland. I mean, it's an electric boat. You control it with a little joystick that you just like control it around, and that's what you're in for a couple of hours.
Okay, that is so cool, Greg. Okay, guys, how is that? So, how long do you rent this for? How much did it cost? And like, was it cold? Like, I mean, it looks in the picture, it looks cold. So in the hot tub, it's nice and warm, then I'm guessing.
Yes. Nice and warm in the hot tub. I mean, it was raining a little bit, but you don't care because, you control the temperature to whatever you want. Okay. You rent it for a couple of hours. I don't know the exact price because it was a gift that I wasn't in on. Somebody else purchased it. So you could probably check it out on the website and see where the price point is at. But it's so much fun. It's just such a strange concept. And I was like, well, that sounds really weird and interesting. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And these are all very close friends of mine too. So as far as the COVID side of things, everybody's vaccinated. It's all very safe on that end. But it was really cool because you can go around and you rent it. I think we had it at 5:30, so it was light out, but then you got to see the sunset and then all the lights of Portland as you're just sitting in a hot tub on the river. I mean, it was that is next level. I have never seen that, Greg. So thank you so much for showing this picture. That is super cool. So I mean, obviously it works awesome where you are. This is something I think could work pretty much everywhere that there's water, right? And I love the idea that you can do this by remote control. So like your group doesn't have to deal with someone, else. Well, no, we're controlling it, but it's a joystick. Yeah, but that's great because you don't have to have someone actually drive the yacht for you. I mean, you know what I mean? So you have privacy. And exactly. Yeah, there's a picture of Portland at night. That's the Hawthorne Bridge right there, all lit up. So it's It was pretty cool. It was kind of, just a ridiculous thing that who would ever think of doing something like that.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I actually looked into it, Greg. I was like, okay, if we're going to go to a road trip and go to Portland, how long will it take us to drive out there? Like, it would take nearly 12 hours from here. That's a little too far for me.
That sounds about right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want to sit in a car for that long, but
it's a long way to sit in a hot tub on the river. However,
I know, right? Yeah, this looks like so much fun. And let me know if you have anything cool in your neighborhood like this. Definitely, we love to see your photos. So hopefully this inspires you. If you've gone on a trip, if you're going on a trip, something fun and unique, definitely send us your pictures. Maybe we'll share it on the show. Greg, what do you think like that? I think we should do that. We should do a segment like, tell us where you went.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What cool thing did you do? Where did you go? Yeah, please let us know, because there's just a lot of this kind of like industry I feel like that's come up to over the last couple of years, and people doing more things outdoors, and like you going to Sedona, and just fun stuff. So
it makes the world go around and around, and it makes you feel really awesome too. I'm actually, Greg, I'll be honest with you, I'm already starting to try and plan my next trip, and see, taking advantage of points and miles, my friends.
Yeah. Yep. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, and I've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks that I'll tell people about and be able to show some pictures of too, that I think will be pretty cool. Something else I wanted to let everybody know about too is next week's episode of The Loop. Not only will we have all the things that went on in tech and financial world, but also we've got a guest next week, which is Aaron Keeney, who's going to be on to do some talk about some movie reviews, spoiler-free movie reviews. But Dune is coming out next week, and she will have already seen it, and will kind of give us her impressions of it, and plus a couple of other movies. So a little bit of a different segment for next week, which I think it'll be a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. So definitely bring your popcorn. We'll definitely share the date out so you'll know when it's happening. And so I can't wait. I can't wait to meet Aaron. And so Vicky, Sadiq, you heard, make sure, and Joshua, make sure you got your popcorn ready. It should be a lot of fun to hear what she has to say. And she'll tell us what was worth seeing and what wasn't worth seeing then. That'll be great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She's a lot of fun. So that'll be next week. And, and like I said, everything else that's going on, and just, I want to reiterate it again too, and say thank you to everybody who's tuning in, everybody who's watching here every week, and so the new listeners, new viewers, and wherever you're watching this, whether it's on Amazon or YouTube or Twitter or whatever, Facebook, whatever platform. And there's a lot of them that we're on. And if there's a platform you think we should be on, let us know. We'll try to get on that one too. But regardless, it's just great to see everybody joining us, and sending us emails and messages and any questions. Hit us up anytime. Both Winnie and I are always open for that to talk to you and answer whatever. Or even if you find something cool, please send it to us. Like, send us the cool stuff. Sadiq, you sent me quite a few cool things. I love it.
Photo or a cute video. We want to see what excites you, because what excites you will probably excite us. And we are so grateful for your support, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably it for this week. We've covered quite a bit here, and so much more next week that's coming up. It's just always so exciting. It's always so exciting to do the show with you, Winnie.
Well, I get so excited seeing it. So thank you so much, Greg, for sharing it, just being an amazing friend and co-host. And thank you so much, all of you. And we will see you again next week. Take care now.
Bye. Thank you.